Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittney and welcome to Brittney's Place. On this channel I do unboxings, reviews, I do some mukbangs, I do story times, and this is really just a channel where I can just do me. This is my place and I can just share different aspects of my life. If you do want to follow more business related content and like vlogs, I do have a main channel. My main channel has been up for like maybe 4 or 5 years at this point, and my main channel is Brittney Bundles. So again, if you're interested in more business content, be sure to check me out over there. I do have a lot of different business content, but and just some other fun videos too. But I'm gonna be going over, I'm gonna kind of, I don't want to say switch gears, but I used to do a lot of relationship topics and talks on my Patreon, but I'm going to try to start incorporating some of those conversations on this channel as well. I think they're just really interesting conversations to have. And not just that, but a lot of people are interested in relationship topics and conversations. And I really think that with my perspective, being in school for psychology and have, just my life experience and reading up on how the brain works, how relationships have like the scientific stance behind what happens to our bodies when we are going through breakups and things like that. I think that this would be an interesting conversation for me to kind of, or topic or field for me to jump into and share what I feel, and hopefully it helps someone get out of a toxic relationship. So first thing that I want to say before I get started with these videos is always consult a professional. I know that it's very easy to get wrapped up in watching YouTube videos and listening to different podcasts and reading different blogs, and I'm not going to discredit any of that, but I am saying that there's a big difference between listening to someone's opinion versus actually going and sourcing out the actual studies and having a professional that has researched and sourced out the studies and not just what's trending. It's really important that you do that, because not everyone is going to tell you the truth, and not every piece of advice you should follow. You have to use your discretion and use the professionals' opinions as well, pertaining to your specific life event. But let's go ahead and give the video a big thumbs up. Please make sure that you are subscribed, and we're going to get into it. Let me know if you like these videos. But this video is going to be titled Why You Should Stop Chasing People in Relationships. I was going to initially title it Why Women Should Stop Chasing Men, but I'm like, you know what, men chase women too. Everyone should stop chasing everyone, and I'm going to talk about why you should stop. And again, if you like these type of videos, let me know, because I may just keep them on my Patreon. But the first, I'm going to be looking down my notes. The first thing that I want to go over is more than likely you're addicted to the toxicity. You've possibly experienced operant conditioning, where you are seeking interaction as a reward. It gives you a high in a sense until, the person leaves again, because, the person is leaving and coming back at a variable rate. You don't know when they're coming back, when they're leaving. It can cause you to become conditioned to that actual relationship. So I'm not going to get too deep into everything, but operant conditioning, that's a way that we learn. You have classical conditioning, operant conditioning, you have the social learning theory, cognitive learning. But with operant conditioning, that is the learning through association of reward and discipline, reward and punishments. So a lot of times we get addicted to the reward of having the person come back in our life, and we get addicted to the chase of the person instead of actually who the person is. And you can tell this by maybe, identifying in yourself or others that you are close to, constantly getting in different relationships and constantly feeling like you're the person chasing that person to stay with you. Just looking at the basics, like if someone's not answering your calls, if someone's not respecting you, if someone doesn't care about how their actions are affecting you. For example, if they know that you'll ghost for like a week, it's going to hurt your feelings, and they keep doing it, they don't care. Or if you find that you're the person that is constantly starting the interactions, you're reaching out and saying, hey, good morning, how's your day? You're pulling up and popping up at their house, their workspace. You are seeing what they're posting on social media. That can start to seem like you are, I don't want to say stalking, but you're chasing that person. And naturally, when you're chasing after someone, or period, in any aspect, a lot of times they're going to run the opposite direction. No one really wants to, I'm not going to say no one, but a lot of people don't like that feeling of having someone constantly come toward them. And especially if you're an anxious attached personality type, and there's different tests and surveys that you can take to kind of, define what type of personality type you have. But if you're more of an anxious person, you may find yourself being the person that runs after the person that you're in a relationship with and tries to fix the problems. And there's nothing wrong with trying to fix problems, but I would say try to direct your energy to people that really want to reciprocate what you're putting out. Have you noticed, and this goes back to even like in school, like I'm sure a lot of you can relate to, you may have had a boy or a girl in your class when you were in school that really liked you, and you didn't like them. You didn't like them. They liked you so much. They were so nice to you, opening doors, writing letters, because we would write letters back in the day. We didn't really text like that. But yeah, when I was in school, they write letters, and you would hope the teacher didn't catch the letter, or hope your parents didn't find the letter when you got home, and they would maybe ride the bus home with you, just so you guys can walk around the neighborhood. And they would, they would just be at lunch waiting for you to get to lunch, try to buy you a cookie, and you were just like, oh, I really, but you still kept them around, but you really didn't. You weren't excited to see them. And then you may have had another girl or boy in your school that really didn't give you the time of the day, and you were that person to them. You were just trying to find when their lunch was, and you were being super nice to them. And so we learn, a lot of us learn at a young age that people really don't go after what is going after them all the time. So when you're chasing somebody, a lot of times it's going to make them less interested. There's a part in our brain that really wants, I don't want to say what you can't have, but it's similar. It's like that. Like there was a study that was done where it showed that people that were hazed to get into sororities, for example, which hazing is illegal, but people that still went through that, they were more loyal to the sorority. They enjoyed being in that sorority. They wanted to stay in that sorority, and even though they were hazed to get in. And so just taking that as an example, sometimes you'll look at relationships and you're like, dang, this person treats this person like crap, but this person is still chasing after them. They still are loyal to them. It's something with our mind that can cause that to happen. So I want you to be careful of that and ask yourself, have I been conditioned? Like, is this something that I do frequently with everyone I'm in a relationship with? Because if so, then you want to start identifying what is up with you. You know what I mean? Like, why am I chasing? And I know a lot of videos won't really say that. They'll be like, no, it's them. And it might be them. But you don't have to live with them your whole life. You have to live with you your whole life. So I always find it more effective to figure out like what's going on internally than to focus everything on what someone else is doing. You can pay attention and you can outline and bring it up to your partner, but focusing on them more than you're focusing on yourself. Like I said, you're living with yourself. You're not going to necessarily live with them forever, especially if you're already experiencing this toxicity. And like I said, if they're leaving and coming back and, you are getting positive reinforcement, sometimes they're bringing you flowers, and sometimes they're returning your calls, and sometimes you guys might go out on a date, and sometimes they may come home for a week straight, but then leave. Or if that's happening, it can cause you to get addicted to that condition because you don't know, like your body is kind of like, just not knowing. It gets addicted to the craving, kind of like if you're playing a slot machine. You don't know when you're going to win, but as a winning in this system, you don't know how many more times you have to, pull the lever and how much more money you have to put in. But the fact that you possibly are going to get something can make you addicted to that. So that's something that a lot of people experience. It's not even like the person, because once people get out of relationships and they look back on the person that they had on this pedestal, they'll start to ask themselves, like, what did I even like about this person? Like, this person isn't a nice person. This person isn't kind, really in any aspect of their life to anybody. This person doesn't have anything in common with me. This person wasn't going in the same direction with their lives as I was going. This person isn't even enjoyable. I'm not really even attracted to this person. But again, they're addicted to the highs and lows and that, the toxicity in general of the relationship. The next point that I want to go over is there are studies in social psychology that suggest that people want what isn't necessarily easy. And I just went over that with the hazing. So I'm going to move on to 3, rumination. Okay. It is important to train your mind to not lead off of its feelings. And I know that some people may be saying, what? Don't follow your feelings. I mean, even I'm a Christian. The Bible talks about not leaning into your own understanding. The Bible talks about not following your heart. Whoever trusts in his own mind is a fool. That's Proverbs 28, verse 26. Jeremiah 17, verse 9. The heart is more deceitful than all else and is desperately sick. Who can understand it? I mean, we've been taught by social media to trust your feelings, trust your heart, trust this, trust your mind. I mean, at the end of the day, you want to trust yourself, but you have to know how well you're doing in order to trust yourself. Like when I'm not connected to God, if I'm not following in God's footsteps, I'm not going to trust myself because I know God's not in me, right? Like if God's in me, then okay, I'm going to not even lean into my own understanding, but I'm going to not even trust my heart, but I'm going to trust that what is inside of me, God is leading me in the right direction. So it's discernment. It's discernment over thinking that I'm wise in my own eyes. The Bible talks about not being wise in your own eyes. So contrary to what social media teaches us, that you should just believe yourself and, you know, you're right. You're entitled to have your feelings, and your feelings are okay, you know, based on your feelings dictate your actions, and it's okay to do this because you felt that kind of way. And it's really not all the time. Like it's really not. So instead of following your heart, instead of following your mind, follow God. And with that being said, there's another point that I wanted to touch on, rumination. So your mind is your mind is designed to hold thoughts, right? There's a part in our mind called the amygdala. And I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, but this part of your brain holds different triggers and emotional, memories. And so it's kind of like us, the part of your brain where if someone comes up to you and they say something, they may say, you look ugly today. And so it triggers you. That part of your brain starts to react, and you may say something just like, shut up, but it's connected back to different emotions and memories that you had prior. And so a lot of times in psychology, if you're looking at the psychoanalytic theory, where therapists will go back and look at your childhood and figure out exactly like what you've gone through, they can find a correlation where maybe your parent or your caregiver would have, used to say things like, I don't like how you look, or you don't look good, or you look just like your dad, in a condescending way. And so you would want to say, just shut up, or you would react in a way where you would maybe even, say something similar to that. And so now that you're an adult, that hasn't been resolved, and if someone comes up to you now and they're like, you're ugly, I don't like your hair, you're like, shut up. It's a part of your brain that's connected to that memory, and it reacts based on if it feels like it's being threatened or harmed, or if, even provoked. So it's important to understand that and know that when you're starting to have memories of your ex or the person that you're in a relationship with, and you should get out, it doesn't mean that you need to go and call them 1,000 times. It doesn't mean that you need to go and pop up at their job or their work, but it means this is what your brain is doing. This is what your brain is supposed to do. And what some people will do is they'll just let their brain run wild and constantly think of different, thoughts about this person. And what will happen is, because your brain's smart. We're constantly learning, even when we're not trying to learn. And so we're putting associations together. Your brain is pairing different memories. You have your subconscious and your conscious, things in your subconscious you don't even know that are there. I mean, there's just so much information that your brain is holding. And so what some people do is, what happens a lot of times when you ruminate is your brain starts to focus more on the positive thoughts, because your brain wants you to feel good. It wants that those positive endorphins to get released in your body. And it wants those, it just wants you to feel good. It wants you to be at peace, right? And so people start forgetting about all of the bad things and pushing that toward the back of their memory. and just start focusing on the positive times. So this person could have made you cry last month. This person could have cheated on you 2 months ago. This person could have been physically abusive. And now all you're thinking about is the 2 times that you went to dinner and it went okay. Not even great, but it just went okay. There was no arguing, that you didn't get called out your name, and they picked up the tab. Simple things. But you're like, just focused on that. And then your mind is taking that into a whole nother, like, well, we had a great time here. I wonder what would have happened if we had more time to go over here. And I wonder what would have happened if we went on this cruise. And now you're daydreaming, in essence, about this relationship that was in reality a bunch of crap and very toxic. And because people are daydreaming, they're like, that must mean that this is my soulmate, that I can't get over this person, that me and this person are connected. And you are connected, but that doesn't mean that you need to stay connected. You have to start breaking those connections. And so it's not about ignoring the thoughts and ignoring the associations that your mind will make with that person, but it's about reframing them and teaching and talking to yourself. So teaching yourself by talking to yourself the truth. So yes, if your brain is thinking about a good time that you had at dinner, yes, we had an okay time, not even a great time. We had an okay time. However, I know that based on the history of our relationship, it was a matter of time, probably the next day, that we would have gotten into an argument. And even if I don't want to go to probablys or hypotheticals, let's go back in time. So 2 months ago, I was cheated on by this person. A month ago, this person cussed me out and called me out of my name. A month ago, this person was gone missing in action and ghosted me. I couldn't go to sleep. I was crying for a week straight. I mean, you want to constantly remember what happened, like remember the truth. And this is not to stay mad at that person. You ultimately want to forgive the person, and forgiveness will come, especially if you are working with God and you're following in his footsteps, because I don't hold or harbor any feelings, but I also am not going to erase my mind of things that happen, because that would be foolish, right? Like, I want to know and be able to discern what is a healthy relationship and what people should be in my life and what people shouldn't. And if I just allow my brain to only have me thinking and ruminating and daydreaming about the okay times and have them, amped up and propped on this pedestal like they were the great times that they weren't, it's deception. It's me living in deception and lying to myself. And so, the truth will set you free, literally, like you telling yourself the truth. I remember having a conversation with one of my friends, and we both would say this, we'd be in a relationship with a guy, and the guy wouldn't be, good on either side. The guy she was talking about wasn't good. The guy I'm talking about is not good. And we would both be like, well, they're not horrible people. I mean, they have some good about them. And then I started thinking about that. I'm like, well, honestly, even Satan had some positive points that we can point out. Like the Bible talks about how Satan was the head musician, and Satan, I believe, is attractive. And so, I mean, there's some positive things, but ultimately Satan is full of deception, and he came to kill, steal, and destroy. So if I just focused on the 2 positives and ignored everything else about Satan, I mean, how much trouble would I be in? And so I had to start reframing how I spoke and how I thought about certain people when I wanted to get over relationships. I'm not going to chase a fairy tale. I'm not going to chase, and when I'm saying a fairy tale in relation to a toxic relationship. And it's very important to understand when you're in a relationship that is potentially life-threatening. And even if it's not life-threatening, where you're not physically getting abused, but even when you're treated poorly, your sympathetic nervous system kicks into gear, and you start experiencing symptoms like your heart beating fast, and there's actually a certain chemical that gets released in your body when your sympathetic nervous system, it's like your fight or flight system gets ready to, it starts working, that helps your blood clot better. It's not healthy for you to remain in chronic stress. It's not healthy to remain in an area that's toxic. And so when you're constantly chasing someone that is used to treating you like crap, or someone that's trying to get away from you, it's best to allow your mind to do what your mind does, but speak truth back to your mind. And also when you're talking to your friends and talking about the situation, making sure that you're truthful in the situation and not just talking out of your feelings. You want to make sure that you're talking out of logic. The last thing that I want to go over that could possibly help someone with a breakup is outsmart your brain. We know that our brain stores memories, and it has to be reconditioned in a sense to function without a person that was a normal part of our daily life. So don't limit yourself from enjoying favorite places that you may have only visited with your ex. Force yourself to build new memories and associate new memories with old places. So have you ever heard when you break up with someone, or have you done this yourself where you have gone through a breakup and you all may have gone to like this certain mall every Sunday, and instead of you going to the mall every Sunday, you're like, I'm not going to the mall because this was our spot, this is what we used to do every Sunday, and I don't want to do that because I don't want to get sad, or I don't want to go to the beach anymore because the beach reminds me of this person. I get what you're saying, and there are some practices in therapy, like when you're working with someone that's addicted to like alcohol or maybe have a drug addiction, then the therapist may advise you to stay away from certain triggers for you. So I heard a story where there was a woman that she was addicted to cocaine, and when she would hear matches, it would remind her of cocaine. And so the therapist would tell her, hey, stay away from matches. This is a story we heard in class. Also, there are some times where people are addicted to alcohol, and the therapist may say, hey, don't go down this street because this street has it has a lot of liquor stores, and when you see a liquor store, it may bring those associations back in your mind, and make it harder for you not to drink. Same thing in relationships. Like I get it, you may want to not go places because it may make you feel like you want to call the person, but if you can withstand calling the person, it is helpful for a lot of people to actually go to those places that you would not go to before, so that your mind can start building new associations. There used to be certain songs that I couldn't listen to because it would make me sad, because the song would bring back a memory when I was with a certain person. And then I started listening to the songs while I was cleaning up the house, listening to the song when I would be driving down the road, listening to the song when I felt happy, listening to the song when I was doing some work. And all of a sudden, it wasn't all of a sudden, but over the course of time, I stopped feeling that way when that song came on. Like, I didn't feel sad anymore. My mind had made different associations with the song. And so I didn't just associate that song to that relationship. Same with places. There would be certain restaurants that I would go, and I would be like, you know what, I don't want to go to this restaurant because this is where I would go. When I was in a relationship, we would talk on the phone, and I'm just like, you know what, I'm gonna go to the place. And I started building new associations in my mind, and it wasn't so forbidden for me to go to the place anymore, because heck, I still enjoyed going to the place, and my mind was able to build new associations. You want to be patient with yourself when you are trying to get out of a relationship. I guess, this video kind of took a turn as to, from not chasing to just some tips on getting out of the relationship in general. But when you're trying to get out of the relationship, you want to be patient with yourself and know that it is a reconditioning of your mind that you're going to have to do in order to literally recondition your mind to not live life with this person. And then ultimately finding in yourself, why do you want someone that treats you so poorly? Because that is the initial problem, that I don't want to say initial, because it starts with us. That is an initial problem, not being able to set the right boundaries for ourselves, not being able to believe people when they show us who they are, and not being able to talk to ourselves in truth, just deciding to ignore the truth and really be in denial, and focus just on the positive when the negative outweighs the positive a lot of times in these relationships. And ultimately asking yourself, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And if your answer is, hey, I miss this person, or hey, this person hurt my feelings, or hey, I just want to speak with this person, that's understandable. I can understand you missing something or someone that was in your life. That is a normal process of, just being a human. I get it. But wanting something different and chasing after the same thing, I heard somewhere your new life is going to cost you your old one. You can't take everyone and everything with you to the next phase. And ironically, what people find out is when they stop chasing, the other person starts chasing. It's crazy like that. As soon as you get over somebody, more than likely, here they come. Here they come. People like a challenge. Again, people like what they can't have. And the more you make yourself available to someone that's not respecting you or really caring about you or even really wanting to spend time with you, the more you make them really not want to be around you in a lot of circumstances. So I really hope that this video helped. If you want more videos like this, if you want me to go into more detail and in-depth talks regarding relationships, let me know. Leave the comments down below. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will talk to you on the next video. Bye.